All right, we are live, and thank you very much, Oliver from Ask Me Startup, joining us today. And we are going to be talking about entrepreneurship. My name is Rick. This is the Helpful Entrepreneur channel, and this is Hang Out With. And as I said just now, it's all about Oliver today. So let's get to know Oliver. He is in Switzerland. He's an entrepreneur over there. And that's why we're doing a bit of an earlier show today. So we've been friends for a while now over on in our Discord, our Entrepreneur Discord. Yeah. And let's get to know what he's about as an entrepreneur. So the stage is all yours, Oliver. How long have you been an entrepreneur for, first of all?
Thank you for having me, Rick, first of all. And then I've been in entrepreneurship live actually in 2014. Actually started when I was working in another company where I did some inventions. And then one guy came and said, we can use those inventions for better purpose than you guys are thinking of. So we're going to start a company. And that's when I jumped in it. And I was always, a big fan of entrepreneurship. I loved it because it felt so, better. It's more purposeful to do some stuff there. It's more fun to do stuff. Because I used to work at a large company prior to that. And I was just like, yeah, you're a project manager, which is it's nice. But at the end, you just do that small part of the thing. And then other people take the rest, and you always feel so frustrated because people don't see the big picture that you see, or they just see their picture and you don't understand their big picture, etc. And that's what I felt is so different. And that's one of the reasons I liked starting a startup. And of course, but it's risky, huh? It's risky like everywhere. But I never have an issue with risk. So I always felt like, yeah, it's fine. We're going to make it. And I have to say, at that time, when we started it 6 years ago, I was like, yes, I should maybe have some partners, or I was happy that there were partners that were more experienced than I was, and they have a better network in terms of, financing and investors and et cetera, et cetera. That was important. And that's, since ever then, it worked out great so far.
So you're in the corporate world in 2014. Okay. And explain the process, because if anybody's watching this and they're thinking about taking what I call the entrepreneur leap, how did you go about it? How did you know it was time? Like you were just saying, it's kind of like in your gut feeling, you're looking and you love it, entrepreneurship. How did you know, and what exactly did you jump in, and with whom? Give us the full details.
Yes. Okay. So reality is I was in this large laboratory robotic company, and I was being a project manager. And one day, I saved 2 projects for them, a couple of million worth of those projects. And one day they came and said, wait a minute, Oliver, you're a natural scientist, but we are doing mechanical and electronic products, so you can't be a project manager anymore when we have no further use for you. And I was like, wow, I'm actually the only one who.
For how many years were you there? Sorry,
I was there 3.5 years.
Yeah,
and I climbed the ladder pretty much. Yeah. And I've been quite successful, but I've also been, I've been young. I wanted to do stuff. I wanted to achieve something. So I was fighting my way through the ladders, through the people. And sometimes, I hit some people where they did not appreciate it much, maybe I have to say. And then there was all those politics. And I was like, oh, I hate politics like hell. This is like, I think if anything that can kill something in a big company, it's politics. There's this saying, culture is strategy for breakfast. And this was like a typical company where the culture of the company was set for 25 plus years and people were not moving. And I felt like, this is not for me. People have to appreciate what they're doing, or they just love to stay where they are, but never, ever move forward, or within their boundaries that they have, worked so hard for the last 5 to 10 years. This company had a turnover rate of 11%. So 11% of the employees, left the company and were replaced with this. Just imagine the brain drain happening like this. And that was the time when I felt like, yeah, that's not maybe the right thing to do. Doesn't make financially sense, because honestly, Switzerland is a great country and we have a lot of big banks and big industry. Nestle is here, like the largest manufacturer of food, for instance, or we have other big companies in car industries as our suppliers for car industries, etc. So or the Oerlikon as well, or ABB for electric power plants. All these things are here, but at the end, this is like, it was so boring. I didn't feel comfortable in that. And then a small company, so these guys fired me, and then I said, okay, it's fine. Then a small company was looking, they were trying to do a project with the company I was just currently working in. And so I went there, and it was a completely different setup. It was just 6 people. And I was like, whoa, that's so different. Even though that company has been established 10 years ago, I started working in there, and they appreciated new ideas. You know, suddenly you're not just responsible for a small project. Suddenly you're responsible for R&D, for manufacturing. You're suddenly, you know, in charge of customers. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's so different. It's so big, so huge. And then I started having fun with it, because, you know, sometimes I'm like a guy. Sometimes if I look at something and it bores the hell out of me, right? It gets so boring after some time, because if you do just the same thing. As an example, I'm responsible for patents. I just today had to read through my own patents again, and you know, because the authorities were having some issues. We can talk about it later, maybe. But if I'm doing this for too long, by 3, 4, 5 days, it's like it's not fun anymore. And I think, you know, anything you work for that you love to do should be fun. I mean, at the end, this is the only thing that keeps you up. It's not the money. It's never the money. It's just the thing that motivates you, the purpose. And one of the purposes could be fun and enjoyment.
Absolutely. So are you learning as you're growing as an entrepreneur then? Would you say that in the last, say,
all the time? I have never ever stopped learning. It's impossible to stop
really
learning.
incredible.
And it is important to do that. I mean,
absolutely.
When we started, you know, I had all these people around me, and I was like, these guys, I felt like they're 25 years older than me. What am I ever going to learn from him? He's been in the corporate life forever. But I learned so much. Why? Because I have never thought the way he was thinking. It's just, you know, sometimes you have to accept and see, why is he doing the things these people are doing? And at the end, they're successful. I mean, our company still exists. And so we're pretty good in investments. We're settled up, even though we had rough and hard times. So this, you know, made me think all the time, what can I learn? And then I saw that other people having the same issues as I had. You know, I started an MBA in Switzerland, and then that school was bought by the Chinese European International Business School, and I continued there. And there were so many entrepreneurs and people who want to start, and all have similar questions at the beginning. All have the questions like,
what am I going to do? Give us an example of the questions.
Excuse me?
Give us a few examples of some of the common questions that are constantly being asked.
A common question people have is, how do I write a pitch deck? A very simple thing, like how do I present someone what I'm about to do? And it's very interesting. So I saw like people that have a background in finance, they come up with, you know, let's say 5 to 10 pages, and then 5 of those were Excel sheets. And I always started laughing at those people, say, this is all assumption, that's all rubbish. I mean, I can put other numbers in there and they will look totally different. It doesn't make sense. You have to give people a story that they can understand, that they can follow, that they can relate to. When people can relate, then they start asking, so how are you going to make financial sense? Because people think that they need to put up, you know, the big $1 trillion profit signs in the Excel sheet and present that to other people to get an investor or anything like this. That's never, ever happens. Never. None of the investors we have was looking at this first. They were first looking at the story.
Got it. Yeah, and you hear that quite often, right? They're always looking for the backstory as to how did this begin, who the management team is, and where the future is, right?
Absolutely. So you have to
future.
Absolutely. So, you have to show that you're capable of doing what you promise.
Absolutely.
You never show this by providing an Excel sheet, to be honest. You're only promoting or showing this by showing to people that you understand what you're trying to sell, trying to manufacture, trying to research.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how are you guys promoting your business as you're growing? What are you doing there?
Look, yeah, that's a good question. So maybe I should tell what I'm working with. I'm working with cancer early detection.
Absolutely. Sorry?
And I'm working with cancer early detection. So you give a droplet of blood, and we're able to extract from that whether you're a healthy person or your body's already fighting cancer. That's a pretty new standard. And the way we approach customers is actually different. We're now looking into companies that have a portfolio gap, which means that those companies, they have a test by themselves, but it's not reliable enough on its own. And we could add on to this. And by that, you know, have a better distribution in the market. because we're not like these big companies like Grail or anything that have $1 million trillion funding capital and they're spending this money like crazy. We're trying to do it a smart way, and the smart way for us is identifying gaps and then getting there with the lowest amount possible. Very lean in one way, and it's very much similar to the minimal functional model that you're trying to do, the MVP, that you're trying to understand what people are in need of and how we are able to support them. And that is the way we're growing. Now we just signed 2 contracts, and that's great.
Beautiful. Good. That's great.
And all of this is learning. And that's these types of learnings. I mean, at the beginning, I never thought this the same way. I always thought, we're going to sell it to the customers directly. There's an old population and an elderly population all over the world, and people are getting older. And of course, by that, having more illnesses coming around. But reality is, if I put out an advert, most people will not understand or rely it. So the only people that they rely to on their, let's say, cancer issues is their doctor. So you have to go through the doctors, but the doctors, I have to be honest with you, I do not like the way the public or general healthcare systems in the world are set up, because there's a lot of, I'm not saying unethical, but you have to, they're challenging you on other levels that I would not appreciate as an honest person, to be honest. So it's not always the clean way as their white coats suggest they are. Hence, getting around this, if you enter through the back door by leveraging an already existing sales channel, and just adding on to it by that creating a win-win situation is seems to be the best way we're doing, and quite promising for us right now.
Excellent. What do you expect your pro forma numbers? You don't forget to give us your pro forma numbers, but your rate of growth over the next, say, 5 years. What's your expectations on that?
Over the next 5 years, to be honest, I hope we're going to find a buyer in the next 5 years. To be honest, that would be great.
the 5 year flip.
Because let's face it. So I'm giving you a clear number is difficult here because it's unpredictable.
Forget that number.
But we're expecting a significant growth because it is multi-layer. So it's not just one product, but you can use it for different cancer types. For instance, you can use it in combination with different cancer types. You can use it for multiple cancers. So there will be different growth on different sites. This industry is quite a challenging one because there is a lot of regulation, which is good on the one side because you want everything you want as a test, as a medication, whatever you want to have a proper and safe, handling of those. You don't want people to get sick just because you screwed up. But in this industry, it is unpredictable in that respect that sometimes you don't know when you will get the allowance to be on the market. Just give you an example. For instance, Switzerland, there is a list from the government that claims the remuneration or the payments by public healthcare, and just to get on that list takes you 7 years to wait. 7 years. So what are you going to do? I mean, most companies will go bankrupt in 7 years if they can't sell a product and not get paid for it. So you have to find a way around in terms of, okay, who is going to pay for it in person, etc. And that's one of the reasons we're looking into the US market right now. Why? Very simple. US market is very well, you'd say, educated on private or self-paid medication and tests, which is different to, let's say, the European or Swiss markets, for instance.
Excellent.
Different world.
Oh yeah, and much larger market, obviously, all around, in all areas, in all aspects.
Not necessarily. I mean, let's face it this way: the United States has a big advantage that they are like 330 million plus. European Union has 500. Okay, so it's more, but it's not a homogeneous market as the US. The US has one major regulation, and then you can sort of, roll it out all over the country. Whereas in Europe, you will have regulations in each and every single country. You have to have, I mean, for a small country like Luxembourg or Belgium or, all these minor countries, they go like, wow, it's so complicated. You have to have different languages and then go for the local authorities. And then they take European law, put it into the law of that country. Oh my God, it's so complicated sometimes. So, Yeah,
Fun.
you have to live with it. That's the reason why many people actually go to Europe, to the US. But honestly, what's really happening, and that is something people are not talking a lot about, is they're addressing China as a market now more often than they do the US.
Yeah.
So in our field, for instance, the general way of addressing things was you develop something in Switzerland, you roll it out to the European Union, you take it after you have created some know-how or some market feedback to the US. Now, the US has a population of roughly 330 million, whereas just the upper class in China is 330 million. And these are all self-payers. These are all self-payers. This is, I mean, the size differences are so huge. That's why people today start to think twice. Are we really going to go to the US from Europe, or are we really going east to China? And that's not a political statement. It's more, you know, people are just focusing on the market sizes and the efforts that they have to put in there.
Absolutely. So as an entrepreneur, what motivates you? What gets you out of the bed in the morning? Apart from your alarm clock.
What motivates me is, look, what I'm doing is purposeful. I mean, if everything works at the end, okay, I spend a lot of time developing stuff. If everything works and we're actually able to help other people, that motivates me like crazy. I think nothing can beat that. If one day history books tell that Oliver has invented something that, you know, revolutionized cancer early detection, wow, that would be crazy. I would love that, but I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's what motivates me in the morning to get up and do stuff.
Yeah, it's always good to hear of businesses that are created to solve a problem. And
Absolutely.
Early cancer detection, solving that type of a problem, it can't get much better than that. And that's great to hear. That's really, and that's self-motivating for you, right?
Look, at the end, we have to face two things. We're in our society is aging. All societies are aging except for the African ones, I have to say. So reality is that cancer will become more predominant. We're expecting to have 50% cancer rates. So 1 out of 2 will have cancer within a lifetime. So this is a big, big field, and that's why, you know, companies are spending $1 million trillion on development drugs, etc. But the cancer field itself today has one problem. You usually detect cancer too late. What I mean by that, usually you can't go to the doctor if you have pain, right? If something isn't right, and then you go. That's what we call a stage 3. So there are 4 stages: 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 is like it just started. 2 is like it has started to grow, and 3 it started to have metastasis and all this stuff. It's too late, and then we spend a lot of money for drugs that might or might not work, and people die 2, 3, 4 years, and on average afterwards, right? So if you're able to discover that much earlier, 10 years earlier, 5 years earlier, the drugs are not as heavy, and the people will live the same amount of time, but with a better life quality. And that is, I think, what everybody should achieve at the end. It's life, quality of life. And that's also one of the things that gets me up in the morning is quality of life. Because as an entrepreneur, look, we have to get our jobs done. That's great. But sometimes, you know, it takes 9 hours, 10 hours, and then in those days it just takes 4 or 5, and you're good to go and do some other stuff, right? That's what I like about being this more entrepreneurship lifestyle. I really appreciate it.
Well, that was going to be my next question with you: is what do you enjoy the most about being an entrepreneur? I think you kind of like that was a perfect segue into that question.
Yeah, you're right. But what I really enjoy is spinning ideas. Because you're never stopping on this single idea, but you continue doing this. And since I started this, I have more rich and in-depth discussions with other people, because everybody has an idea. It's very interesting. If you talk to people over lunch, dinner, which is okay now a little bit, you know, restricted current pandemic problem, but that's another issue. People have ideas, people see problems or issues they come across, and they start discussing with you. And you can have so much more in-depth discussions now as an entrepreneur, because you start thinking or seeing the whole thing. And that is where if you just in a corporate wheel, the right wheel, everything is fine. You see your wheel, you're happy with it, doesn't matter. But here we're like, should we buy this? I just had a discussion with a friend of mine who's trying to buy rental properties for like Airbnb type and working employees, etc. It's tough because the numbers don't make sense. So how do we make sense of the numbers? It's like, spinning your imagination about a problem that might have not existed at the beginning sometimes is really fascinating. And that's what I really love doing. That's also the reason I started the YouTube channel. Is like, first of all, giving up some basic, because there are some repetitive questions all over the place all the time. But then it's also using imagination and also talking to people that are not of the same background level education as you. Because if you get, so I'm a natural scientist by education, and if I talk to a lawyer, hell, it's complicated sometimes, but he sees things from a completely different angle than I do, and that is something I recommend everybody to do. Go have discussions with people that are not necessarily of the same background as you.
Absolutely. Expand your network. So, okay, down the rabbit hole travel. If anybody's got a chance to check out her YouTube channel, it's really interesting. Out west in Canada, her travels and travel around the world actually right now, but because of everything going on with the pandemic and everything else. So, but let's see what she has to say. I started my own business in August. It was gaining momentum and doing really great. But then in November, all in-home gatherings were canceled. Yes, which meant I had to cancel all my appointments. So, quick question for you then. Is everything on hold? Can you revamp it after all the bans and the pandemic is over, or does that unfortunately mean the end of your business? I think that's a bit of a challenge. Being an entrepreneur during a pandemic has got to be an incredible challenge right now. I mean, 65% of the restaurants here in Toronto are not going to reopen, right? And
but I mean, let's be frank here, right? I mean, in Europe, for instance, the restaurant industry was already overpopulated. So many of them would have gone out of business, maybe not all at once, but over a sequential amount of time. And I think with all these companies, the same with us, is do you have enough cash on the bank to survive a certain amount of uncertainty? And right now, this pandemic has hit everybody hard and maybe unpredicted, but I have to say many did not do a proper job in calculating their risk. They did not expect that something like this could happen. And it was obvious that this is going to happen. It's not like totally out of the air, but it is not in the business plans of many, many companies. And I have to say a lot of businesses, especially restaurants and all these type of business, they're already cash thin, because their margins aren't great. So many people actually start a restaurant not because of the money, but rather because it's a life dream or anything like this. And then, of course, it becomes challenging. Will everything reopen? I think everything will reopen. And my last video I indicated that if the vaccination continues the way they prognose it to go, there will be a very significant turnaround in businesses or opening of businesses and return of the economy by the mid of or beginning of third quarter this year. So it's still half a year to go. Are you prepared for this? Are you able to get some funding, some emergency funds, whatever, to make you there? And that's the whole point. Everybody who survives that period of time will be much better off afterwards. If you understand how customers have changed. That is the next challenge.
Definitely. And a lot of restaurants are very turnkey-ish, right? So, I mean, one entrepreneur, another can close up the doors. The landlord keeps the place the way it is. And a few months later, another entrepreneur just basically knocks on the door and say, hey, I'll take this over for X number of thousand and carry it on, correct? So it should be reopening, but under, say, a different owner per se. So, okay, but let's go.
Yes.
Most likely, yes. So let's go down her response here. Once the ban lifts, I'm hoping some people who had to cancel will rebook, but my business is still about timing, birthdays, Christmas parties, so we will see. Wow. Yeah.
But honestly, this is actually a great business because there is, if you look at Maslow's pyramid of needs, hierarchy pyramid of needs, we've been a lot of stuff has been taken away from us, which is, for instance, the social needs that we all have. It's been taken either by fear or by government regulation taken away. And all of this is coming back. For instance, in Switzerland, they have just shown now that people have had the chance to save more than ever before on average. Why? Because they were not able to spend it on vacation, on weddings, on birthday parties. All these things are not. So
Yeah.
Of course, this birthday is gone, but are they not likely to spend it? Of course they are. They're waiting for it to be spent. So the best thing you can do is now prepare and maybe offer some special offerings in terms of, look, I accept a early booking with a discount, but you know, get some cash by this, you know, get maybe a 25% upfront fee or anything like this, so that you will have enough cash to survive until you can really offer the service to those people.
Absolutely.
That is definitely going to happen. And there's also a shift. I mean, we should accept that there will be a shift in the way tourism and out dining, etc., will happen. Right now, there was a survey done here as well as for Europe, but I'm sure that's true for the whole world, where people, because they were, you know, they were forced to change their habits. What does it mean? It means that people suddenly realize, oh, wait a minute, I don't need to buy that Gucci handbag. I don't need to buy that Ferrari. I don't need to buy that house. I don't need to go on vacation or travel around the world. So that is good for those businesses that are actually local, because what also became quite clear that people love to travel their local areas more, or their home country. That is true for Canada, for the US, that's true for Europe. So, and in that survey, it was roughly 50%. So 50%, nothing will change. 50% will say it changed. Great idea, great business for the future. Do it in your local. If you're local in Canada, for instance, and where you are, I mean, your tree tent business might, you know, explode in the future, because people are looking for ways to go around locally. Seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like, it's quality of life and time dedication to it, right? So, and it's so seasonal here in Canada. We just have such a short window for that sort of stuff. The tree tent, I love it. I think it's fantastic. I'm actually looking into tiny homes, to be honest, which could be all year round. But so let's get back down to
move them around. That's cool. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all year round. And, you know, make it more of a snowy, fun, wintry cabin, and then more outdoorsy in the summertime. So that could be a future video. Who knows? We'll see about this.
Yeah, we'll see. But all of this, and that is also a key takeaway for all the audience out there right now. Don't do just a regular thing. Think of something special. Think of the extra. Yeah. You can rent a tiny house and maybe organize a birthday party or ice fishing or anything. I don't know. I don't have any idea of this industry in that depth, but there are for sure some things that you can do special that nobody else does.
Oh, there's like so many new ideas are going to come from this pandemic. It's going to be
try out. If you have the capabilities, just try out and see what customers react to and whatnot. And the stuff that they don't like, to skip it immediately and go on for the next thing.
So she loves your pandemic is over special idea deal. There you go. So let's get back to it. So she's lucky that her new business is mostly just a side gig, a side hustle. Awesome. Something I want to do full time, but right now just a side hobby that makes money. So that works out for her, which is great. I mean, having a hobby business is incredible. I really believe that every house should have a business. Like, all the benefits of having a business, no matter how small it is. Everywhere you have so many perks and benefits from having one. I really suggest, like, everybody think of a passion and have a little hobby business on the side. You'd be surprised of all the benefits from it.
You're right, and it has additional benefits. So even though you might not be perfect at things, so I started Ask Me Startup as a side hustle for coaching entrepreneurs. I'm helping those. I'm suggesting and working business plans with those people. That was a side hustle. But I also have another side hustle that is rental properties. I buy some rental stuff and I'm renting out. It's a side business, a small business, but I'm doing this. Why? One of the reasons is also I'm diversifying my income, because the biggest risk is me losing my current job or our startup not succeeding. And many people in America are hit by this much more stronger than they are in Europe. In Europe, you have all these social security systems, etc. It's not nice, but it's it's a cushion that you fall on. It's not like instant out. Whereas if I would live in the US, I would definitely look into having 2, 3, 4, 5 different side streams of income, and many of which could be businesses. And even if they don't work perfectly, you always learn. And I'm not sure how many businesses you started, but not everything I try is working out. I mean, I'm still trying to work out my website. I'm still trying to get an email list set up. All these things, yeah, technically they're all possible, but it's more like, what is it that you're trying to sell? Why should people look for this? And this is I would rather say it's a trial and error thing. And if I read all these successful entrepreneur stories, I mean, everybody loves Elon Musk stories or Steve Jobs stories, etc. Don't compare yourself to those, because these were unicorns. These are just once in a lifetime that these things happen. 99% of us are just doing enough, to get around and having fun.
Amazing stories, equal, but on a smaller scale, say.
Absolutely.
And jobs. But I mean, every entrepreneur, everybody I believe out there's got great stories. Anybody's got a great story. Yeah. It's just like, are they willing to talk about it?
Are you willing to try? I think the one thing is talking, but I think the biggest challenge for many people is actually trying to do it. I mean, just getting off the ground to do it. I started a Shopify store 2 years ago, just for fun. Because I did my master thesis on the social media acceptance for scientists. I was like, because I know these people read stuff different, and then I felt like, yeah, that's all theoretical. I want to try out stuff, so I started this Shopify store. We kept it
out of Ottawa.
Look, I was selling hair brushes to New Zealand and Israel. No, don't get me why the Facebook algorithm took me there, but it just happened like this. It's a great experience. I stopped it because it was just too much time. I mean, at the end, I realized, okay, I can't do my job and it was a great experience. But I know that it's actually not that difficult to sell something, and people are falling for sales all the time. It's just about having a good story and good idea, and then bringing that story to the right people. I know there's always if, but reality is if you don't try, you never know. And then the other thing is persistence. I mean, my YouTube channel, and you can tell yours as well, right? I mean, we're small. You're tenfold than I am, but reality is it only grows if you keep continuing. If you stop and give up after the first, bump hits in the road, why would you ever make it? But we also have to accept that not everybody is made up for this, right?
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. When I was a kid, when I was at university in high school, I always kept that in the back of my mind. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I love that quote.
Yes.
And I lived by it for years.
It's very valid.
Go. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. At the end, I mean, look, I understand, and we also have to understand two things. I think the first thing is if you're trying to start a business that does not require a significant upfront payment, try it. But then there are businesses like I work in. I mean, we spend a lot of money, 7-digit plus, on development, right? You can't, just do that as a side hustle. Okay. So, but then on the other side, the downside of starting a business that almost has no upfront cost is that everybody can do it. That's the concept is called Porter 5 Forces. And in that is like the barrier to entry. If there's no barrier to entry, people will just jump in and try. Then those that have the better access, the better marketing, the better brand strategy will survive. And whereas when you have like a pond of only a few fish, everybody might survive because it's already difficult to get in that pond.
Absolutely. Okay, so just quickly, let's see what she says down the rabbit hole here. She says, "True, I have a YouTube channel which makes peanuts." Then she's also a substitute teacher, and now is at home escape rooms business. So cool, home escape room business. I love it. Love to hear more about that.
That's interesting.
Which I think has potential. Absolutely. So hang on for 1 second though. Everybody that's on the stream right now watching, I think it's 500 or 5. Oh, sorry, it's 5. There's some really good channels here, guys. So let's check them out here. So we've got Hustle Hub. These guys, Italy, these guys are awesome to work with. I've had them on the show before. They've had me on their show. Fantastic guys. Go and check out their channel. If you like it, sub in. Down the rabbit hole we got here as well. We've also got, let's see, Dan. We got Cody as well here with Chef Icon. Go and check out his channel. We got Marie here with Minds in Motion. These are great people. Some of them are entrepreneurs, some of them are investors, but they know their stuff. Here's a Greg, an old friend from high school. All good. She is the most supportive person on YouTube. I don't know anybody that is more often at our streams.
Unbelievable reliability on posting a positive side.
She is awesome, and she's on our Discord every morning. Love her. Thanks. So go around, everybody. Check out everybody else's channels. You can see them on the side here. I just went through them. Pause it if you're watching this later, and go and subscribe. Show some love to everybody else. So Oliver, what entrepreneurs do you follow?
One just disappeared, and the other one is Elon Musk.
Okay.
So the guy that disappeared, the guy that disappeared was Jack Ma. because he managed to do something that is unbelievable.
Right.
And I think the Western world does not realize how big stuff is behind that, iron curtain in China. There are companies that are double, triple the size of Facebook or Google or anything like this in this country, and just for one country only. And you go like, wow. Now Jack Ma's gone missing, as we read. I don't know more than anybody else, but honestly, the way he has been driving his business forward was very impressive. And what it impresses me there is the way, because we can see in Asia what I call the future of work. And I'm as sorry as I am for this, but if you look at warehousing, for instance, or the way people distribute online business there, where they used to work 2,000 to 20,000 people, they now have 20, and the rest is robots. And you go, what? But that's reality. So you can see a lot of things that advance there. And then I'm following Elon Musk, and Elon is I mean, it's outright crazy, but I don't know. I mean, what he's achieved with Tesla, with SpaceX, and the other company, I just can't remember the name right now.
Boring company, Tesla.
Yeah, the boring, exactly. I mean, it's crazy. So, doing all these things at the same time, and then being happy with it. I mean, great. It also shows that you don't need to follow the norms if you want to be successful. And I think that's also, if you walk down the path everybody's been walking down, what's left? There's nothing. You have to walk somewhere where nobody or only few people have been prior to you, and then you will find good and resourceful ideas.
Take a risk. Exactly. Take a risk. Get off the beaten path. Get out what's the other saying? Like, get out of your comfort zone. It's exciting out there. It's a little risky, but you know what? It's just all calculated risks that you take. But do something and enjoy it.
Yes, and it's all about fun. And it's purpose. If you feel a pain point somewhere, if you feel a pain for something, try to solve it. If you're not happy with plastic bags, for instance, in a grocery shop, try to get around it. Offer something. This is one of the great stories in Switzerland. For instance, called a company called Freitag. What they've been doing is they've been taking, those plastic covers for trucks and lorries in Europe. Sometimes they are removable from plastic. They've taken this because this breaks down after a couple of years, and they make handbags out of this and shopping bags. And it's quite popular. So it's a way to go with this sustainability wave, which is huge, which is important, and still making a lot of sense and aesthetically pleasing items to go around. So a lot of things that people can think of, and most of the time it's those people that personally have a problem with something that they can improve on themselves the best, actually.
Absolutely. And here she mentions a comfort zone is a beautiful place. Absolutely, but nothing ever grows there. So true. My favorite quote that I usually relate to.
But let's be honest. I love that. But at the end, I'm also looking to go into a comfort zone where I don't have to move anymore. It's also, it takes energy, right, Rick? You know the best for sure. It takes a lot of personal energy to go out and do stuff again and again or different all the time. And sometimes there are also, for me, that personally, there are times where I feel like, I'm looking for the day that I don't have to move anymore. So that's the final ultimate goal. Elon Musk could have returned at the end. Elon could have retired after he sold PayPal, right? He didn't.
Yeah,
very inspiring, because you need something to do.
It's so true. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, Kiyosaki has got the same story. There's one day that he sold all of his businesses, and after a few weeks, he said he was like looking at his wife Kim, going, "I'm bored. I need something to do, right?" So he got back into it, right? He got back into it and just kept on growing. I think it's just the mindset. It's just the way that we are wired. I really believe so many more people are wired as entrepreneurs, but they just don't have that support unit. They don't know how to do it. They don't know what they need to do to take that entrepreneurial leap, right? So it's kind of scary.
That's what you need mentors for. That's why you go maybe find a proper coach or anybody who has been doing stuff and just go for it.
Absolutely. So you work as a team. You got to work as a team, right? If it's all about the knowledge, you got to create a team and work with one another to grow. You have to. Going into battle solo, good luck. Like it's so
impossible. It's impossible. The reality is that if you're not, if you usually a team supplement each other. So everybody has different types of know-how, and that's what you need to boost that. Because your point of view is always this way. No matter how much you try to open your personal point of view, it's always narrowed down to a specific personal perception. And that's why it's so important. I would say one of my best partners is my wife, because every time I talk to her about something, she comes up with a completely opposite reaction to it. And I was like, what? But it's the same thing. So that is reality with everything we do in business or everything that we interact with other people. They perceive things maybe differently than you do yourself. That's why it's important to have a team. And that's why you will never, ever succeed as a solopreneur. You might be the one that, has all these inspiring ideas, but then you need someone who is, carefully taking notes or carefully doing the bookkeeping, all these things that need to be done that you might not be good at.
Yeah,
or I'm not perfectly.
No, but creating that knowledge team, a team of mentors, do it. I highly recommend it. Like, everybody brings something new. I mean, when you go into an investment, it's different because everybody's bringing something new to the table. Like, what do you bring to the table? Everybody brings something different to the team. But if you're just learning and wanting to grow as an entrepreneur, man, read the books. Reach out to entrepreneurs on YouTube. This platform is a plethora of people, of knowledge. It's incredible. I always say it's best teachers in the world are here on YouTube. Reach out to them. And the coolest people as well, because I haven't met very many of them that are that close. Like, they're willing to help out, especially if you're a young aspiring entrepreneur. They'll be like, what do you want to know, man? Because again, there's no manual for entrepreneurship, right? You got to figure things out yourself. So you can reach out so often.
But it's not only about figuring out yourself, but it's also, understanding what people have learned in the past. And then making that transition to today, right? And mentors, very interesting. Many people that I talk to, they have been that path already, and then they, give feedback to what they have encountered at their time, and it's so rich because it helps you to understand things. And it at the end, it is you want to achieve something. It's about a personal development, because an entrepreneurship also leads you down paths, as we've already said, that never have been done by somebody. Maybe if you're lucky, never been someone down that road. So you have to try to figure out what people are really looking for. And at the end, I think the biggest important skill is people. It's a people game, right? You need to be able to sell, so that you need to find or understand how people will buy from you in the future, no matter what you're doing. If it's coaching, mentoring, if it's selling a product, or something else, a digital product, it doesn't matter. You need to sell, and that is a people's game. You have to understand what people love and what people hate.
Yeah, that's a challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs, is that they have a hard time being able to sell. They can create the best product or service in the world, but if they can't sell it, then it's kind of useless, right? And that's a tough call. And then them hiring somebody is a challenge as well. Why? Because nobody's going to sell it as great as the creator. But if the creator has a hard time selling, it's this really
it's very interesting that you say it. I do agree. But then there's the opposite is also true. A good friend of mine I would say it's a natural born salesman. Unbelievable. This guy can sell anything to everybody, but then he messes up. He doesn't follow up. He thinks the only guy who can do it is himself. So he's restricting himself, and he's restricting the capabilities of himself and the thing that he could achieve just by that. So finding the proper balance at the end, everything needs to be balanced in an appropriate way. That's what you look for as an entrepreneur all the time.
Always. So entrepreneurs are great at creating the product or the service. Promoting is the next step, is a bit of a challenge, and then maintaining. Also, we know that a lot of entrepreneurs are not the greatest managers, right? And that's always a challenge for us, I find, as well.
Before I started in the startup, I read a great article, and that was very inspiring. And they compared managers to airline pilots, and I was like, wow. So if an airline pilot starts to learn to fly, what they do is they start in a small aircraft with 2 to 4 seats, and then go out, so that they understand how the external forces maneuver and influence the plane. Managers, on the other side, they start in a big jumbo jet first, go up the ladder, maybe are a captain of a jumbo jet, and then try to fly a small, nimble aircraft, sports aircraft. It's never going to work, because if they pull a lever here, the aircraft goes left immediately, whereas on a big jumbo jet, I've been in one of those flight training simulators. It takes an hour, for ages, until this beast of a machine turns. So that's why most of the managers that think they are great fail, because they're not nimble enough to look left and right and progress. They just say, give a command, and now the customer has to execute. It's not going to work like this. It's simply never going to work like this.
No, good point, Oliver. Really good point. Really good point. What's your definition of being successful?
Happy. I've given up on looking at financial terms. I've just given up on this because it's too comparable and it doesn't relate to anything. If I'm happy, I'm successful. Because I was young and I was buying an expensive sports car and I was like happy. I was like, yeah, that now I can show everybody I made it. Neighbor bought the same car, just bigger. I was like, what now? It's, you screwed, right?
Yeah.
So I started.
And it was a natural, quick, fast for a while too, right? Yeah.
So then instead of buying these type of useless comparability items, I love to go on vacations that I love, that my family loves, things that are unique to each other, that are non-comparable, that just make me happy. And that's when I think I'm successful. If I can afford stuff that makes me happy, just me, and it's not, it doesn't bring me into comparing myself with others, then I'm totally happy. That's where I want to be.
Absolutely. Yep. Get up and you got that freedom, makes you happy. I mean, we talked about this before. Freedom is so key, right? But you gotta make the money in order to have the freedom as well.
I posted a video 6 months ago, something like that, said that you have to have a passive income as an entrepreneur because it gives you the freedom to try out stuff. Oh, that is one thing that so if you are able to build that up with a corporate job, whatever, and then start your side hustle, I mean, you can do everything in the world. And this freedom is to understand that concept is a challenge for many people.
Why?
Because reality is that people are not trained to think through that process. Because if you look at the way all our advertisement, all our system setup is, you earn money and you spend it right away. Be it on a mortgage, be it on a car, be it on whatever credit card loan. I mean, the whole world. But
out there now to learn how to not be that way.
There are a lot of channels out there that do that.
More challenging.
No, but it's not more challenging. But you have to it first has to do a click, and it's also an educational thing. Even in the MBA, nobody said to us, "Look, first try to establish an independent income, and then do your startup thing." No, they go like, do full entrepreneur and just go and get the money from ABC, whatever. Reality is, many people can do this, but of course, many also fail. But only those that have the independence to restart again and again and again, and even keep, maybe one thing is running, then they do a second thing, etc. These are the only guys that succeed. Look at Elon. He's just doing it because he can, because it runs by themselves. He just has to give certain inputs at certain times, and the rest moves on without his doing. He's just there being the brand figure in the front of it. That's a different story, right?
Yeah. So that Oliver, you and I have spoken about this before, and just a quick little shout out to our Discord here as well. Oliver and I are part of our Discord, so and it's down in the description below. If you ever want to join, just click on there, join us. We're on there most often, and ask us any questions. And again, check out his channel, Ask Me Startup. It's scrolling along the bottom here. But yeah, being having that freedom of being a real entrepreneur is key, and that's just something that so many people aspire to. And if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, reach out to either of us. We can probably help you guys out to grow.
Yes, please do so.
Hesitate.
Do that in the Discord. Do that by email. My email is on my channel, so just drop us an email. We're happy to help because it's
our comment section of our videos.
It's a very fulfilling life at the end, and that is what people people get jealous sometimes. But the reality is, if you work for it, if you really inspire, if you put the right mindset to do stuff and go down that road, you can do it. And don't compare yourself to others. I think that's the biggest part is don't compare yourself to Elon, to Bezos or whatever. Don't do it because it will screw you. Just do it so that you're happy.
Yeah.
The level of happiness is personally depending.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about your YouTube channel for a few minutes, okay? I said we're going to keep this up for an hour. We only got a few more minutes to go. Let's talk about your YouTube channel. Why did you start it and how long ago?
So I started April last year. the main reason was it was the start of the pandemic. I just got extra time because we were in a clinical study, and suddenly all the nurses taken away. We were like hitting rock bottom in a second. It was like, wow. So I got extra time, and I did my master's thesis on social media. And I felt like I have to do it because I saw that so many people ask me the same time over and over and over again, and I was like, wow. So now if I have an issue, if I have a topic, for instance, the total addressable market, I can just refer to my video and say, look, I've broken that down for you. Just take a look there, and if you get questions, just come back and let's discuss this in more specific terms. But first, get the clear idea of the concept. That was the main idea, and I wanted to use it as help. I mean, at the end, it is also an investment in the future because I think that more and more people will need proper education and understanding, and it should come from people that have been down the road. That's the idea where
Absolutely.
I started it.
Exactly, not regurgitated from a textbook. You want to hook up people on your team that have had the hands-on experience. It's like night and day in regards to the experience and what people can teach other people if you've got somebody on your team that's had that actual hands-on experience.
Absolutely.
It's so different than a book.
And I mean, but if you go for entrepreneurship online in YouTube, most of those are just dealing with SaaS, software as a service. Because everybody, all the big money is now software as a service because it has an upfront payment and then it's infinitely scalability. But reality is most of the businesses are not SaaS. I mean, I'm working in a product-based business. I'm working on stuff that is actually, takes time, takes money to upfront. And I think that people need to understand that these are still viable businesses and they will be important in the future as well. And that's why not everybody should look out for a SaaS only. And I think that's where Silicon Valley is screwing the whole entrepreneurship world because they think that's the only available business that you should do. No, it's not.
No,
absolutely not.
Hundreds and thousands of ideas and opportunities out there. You just got to take a moment, figure out what you're passionate and you enjoy doing, right? And go for it. So,
and for me also, it should be purposeful, right? If people are just doing it because they think they can make more money, they will fail. It's not about money. It's about, do you like what you do?
Purposeful. Send a big smile. Same idea.
I love that. I love the big smile. I don't have a smile here, so that's my style of my own big
smile.
All over,
I gotta send you some stickers. I know I got you a T-shirt, I think, but I got you some.
Do that one day.
Oliver's part of our Send a Big Smile team, everybody, and go to sendabigsmile.com. Join our team. It's all about promoting positivity and having fun. That's really what it's all about. So, but anyway, sorry. Carry on. We rudely interrupted you on that one, Oliver.
No worries. So next year I'm gonna hide a rock somewhere in the Swiss Alps mountains, and you will have to find it.
Hide a money rock, beautiful.
We'll do that somewhere crazy, where people can find. The problem, the challenge is, I have to be honest. Swiss people really don't need the help or something. It's more like a fun thing. But because Switzerland is so beautiful with all those mountain roads and stuff like this, they're great places to hide them. And still, lots of people are going to go there. And I might actually do a video on the mountain once. I was already thinking about this someday.
Do it, absolutely. Why not see? Like, Switzerland's gorgeous. It is beautiful.
You have to love it.
Camera out there, hiding a rock or not. Just get a camera out there so all of us in our community can just watch your videos and go, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah. I earned my first $2.22 for videos that I have been putting online a couple of years ago on Switzerland. I was putting up on a stock, I think it's Black. I keep forgetting the name now because I never ever uploaded again. But I've taken pictures of Switzerland and within Switzerland, and suddenly people are interested in buying stuff from it. So what I want to say with this, never give up on an idea. It might come and pay back later. It's never paid off, of course. But Switzerland is so attractive to many people. It doesn't need to be Switzerland, to be honest. Any place has very nice and attractive areas that you can make impressive videos. And I think YouTube, since it's so visual, of course, this will help anywhere. Right now, of course, I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to do it, because I would love to do it on the lake, for instance, because there's a beautiful lake right in front of our door. And if you have a sunset type of scenery and would have an interview in there, that would be cool. We'll see.
Beautiful. All right, you got a question for you from the Italian Hustle Hub team. Where exactly
in Switzerland? So the exactly is Zug, and Zug is right in the center between Zurich and Lucerne. So it's really central Switzerland where I am based at.
Nice.
It's actually a tax haven, to be honest. It's like one of those areas where all the CEOs of the world live because they don't spend that much money if they can't find a flat in Monaco or anything, I think.
Beautiful. Beautiful area from what I've heard. Beautiful area.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything else you'd like to add in about entrepreneurship, Oliver? Or your YouTube channel? Anything else you'd like to make a comment about?
Actually, if you're really interested in doing stuff, or if you're interested in learning something or have a question, just feel free to contact me anytime. Also, if you have an ideas or topics that you would like to be addressed on the YouTube channel, I'm sure we can figure out a way that you and I can make a video, or each individual together, on topics that are relevant to people. And I think the challenge lies within finding relevant topics for people right now. It's because people, right now the mindset is so much shifted on the pandemic and not so much on what's going on in the future. But we have to prepare for the future now, because the 6 months will be over pretty fast, and then you should be ready to start.
Can you imagine 6 more months? So this will already only last for like, say, a year and a half. And then hopefully back to normal with all the vaccines coming out. I mean, J&J is going to be out pretty soon as well. So
the reality is we've already been through the biggest part already. And we've just been lucky that it wasn't that deadly. So it's not going to straight ahead. It's going to be terrible the next months, to be honest. It's going to be worse than ever before. But after that, but it's not over until the end of 2022. Let's also keep that in mind. So it's nothing. It's just not going. There's not a switch that flips it on off. It's more like a sudden increase in activity, and that's why I think if anybody's doing some public activities, tourism activities, that's when they can start right now thinking about how to organize them for summer, because people will be very hungry to spend money on vacation or tourism activities.
The Hustle Hub, I don't know if it's Sean or Mickey or Giacomo, one of the Italian guys knows we're pretty, they got good response.
Ciao Italia.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I love it.
I do actually speak, because my wife is Italian, so io parlo italiano un po'.
It's on the way.
No problem. Yeah, it's crazy. This country has four languages here. Multi-language.
As we start, you guys got to connect. Do it on the Discord.
We'll do that.
We'll do that. Discord. You guys are on the Discord together with us. So. Yeah. Let's do it. Hey, Giacomo. Hello. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. He says, ciao.
Ciao. By the way, he wrote right. Actually, I looked at the terrace of Raikkonen here from where I live. So that's interesting. That's a Formula One racing car driver. That's all these. The problem with this area where I live, I love it. It's safe and all that, but it spoils you, because you see all these crazy cars. It's like going through Beverly Hills, I guess, something like this. That would be comparable to. So that's sometimes crazy, but hey, it's a beautiful place to live here.
Beautiful. Okay, so let's just wrap it up. Where I want to keep this under an hour, as we spoke about. That was the agreement. It was like that and 1.2 million euros. I think I had to pay to get you onto the show. So we're gonna do it under an hour.
Wrong currency.
Let's stick to that contract. So
yeah, you pay me in euros, and now it's worthless.
Yeah. Yeah. Any closing remarks, Oliver? Anything you'd like to say?
I really want to thank you, Rick, for inviting me to the show. It was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I really also enjoyed the Discord group and the exchange we have all the time. So just let's keep continuing this for the next couple of years. That's really, really interesting, and I really enjoy doing it and learn a lot. So thank you for that time, for that opportunity, and I really hope that the viewers enjoyed a little bit what we were talking about today. And if so, just drop by my channel, maybe drop a comment or whatever. Just feel happy. Smash the like button for Rick, so that his video is going to get boosted through YouTube.
That'd be appreciated.
Yeah, we'll love that. It is hard, but I think because there's so many people on YouTube these days, but it is possible if you have proper valuable content. And I do think that both of us can provide proper valuable content for the people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on that note as well, if there are any aspiring entrepreneurs I mentioned earlier looking to, that just need help or advice along the way, just reach out to us. I mean, we probably dabbled in it before, and we could probably save you a lot of time and a lot of money, therefore a lot of headaches. So just reach out to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, on the Discord is probably the best way to message, or on one of Oliver's Ask Me Startup videos. Just comment, or even below here, just comment.
Or you can drop me an email at askme@askmestartup.com. I mean, whatever is happy, it makes you happy, and is the easiest for everyone. Just go for it.
Absolutely. Okay, so my closing remarks are this. Hey, everybody, thanks a lot for joining and watching today. It's been a lot of fun. And thank you, Oliver, for being part of this. And to all the entrepreneurs, investors, anybody out there we can help out, as we keep mentioning, reach out to us. And everybody stay safe. Stay safe out there in this pandemic. Will be over sooner than we know it. So, all right, everybody. Take care. We're under an hour. Woohoo!
Well done. Perfect on time. It's almost Swiss precision time,
Perfect.
Perfect.
See you, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Bye to the world.
Ciao, ciao.